wanted just to open up a conversation on how all of the directors are approaching the new school year. And as you're probably going to learn firsthand, that what we thought was going to happen yesterday is just a little bit different than going on today, and maybe even a little bit different than yesterday. So it's super fluid. I wanted to first thank No Kid Hungry for sponsoring the bandwidth of all of this and keeping us on track with all things. So without further ado, thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Tommy. Tommy is pushing all of the buttons. Go ahead, Tommy. So just a few housekeeping rules. If you encounter any technical difficulties, no problem at all. Just go ahead and sign off and come back in. Tommy will make sure you are allowed back in. And if the problem persists, just use the chat box to get help. Attendees are in listen mode only. Feedback. A recording and slides of this webinar will be emailed to all registrants. And if you have any questions for the speakers, please enter them in the Q&A box. And I'm going to invite all of the speakers just to relax a little bit. Everybody's watching. We have almost 400 registrants today, and they're all eager to hear from you. Just have fun with this today, and I know things are super fluid. I wanted to thank everybody for logging on today. And my colleague Lizette reminded me that you know, on the Zoom call, you need to make sure you know where the restrooms are. So there we go. Next slide, please, Tommy. Okay, now we have Ms. Robin Ronkus, our public health nutritionist from our San Bernardino CNAP.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. And I'm incredibly thankful to all our child nutrition heroes who are literally serving on the front lines during summer and the school year. My name is Robin, and I'm with San Bernardino County Health Department as the coordinator of our County Nutrition Action Partnership, known as CNAP for short. Did you all know that in just about every California county, there is a County Nutrition Action Partnership, which is part of CalFresh Healthy Living. So in other counties, it may be named differently, or it may be embedded into another health-focused organization, but the efforts are similar and represent a variety of community leaders, food assistants, and health organizations, schools, nonprofits, etc., all coming together. So next slide. CNAPs foster partnerships to enhance communication between organizations. They want to increase access to healthy food, address food insecurity, support policy, system, and environment change, promote physical activity, and inform and educate. And our CNAPs are responsive to the needs of each community and work together toward a common cause. Now in San Bernardino County, our CNAP meets regularly, and one area of prioritization is summer meals. Our CNAP Summer Meal Collaborative is co-chaired by Redlands Unified and Hesperia Unified School Districts and No Kid Hungry. And together, these dynamos, along with our schools and community partners, have ignited each other's passion to serve and support children and families. And it is through this collaboration that the idea for this webinar was formed as our schools transition from summer into the school year in this COVID era. Next slide. This webinar is also groundbreaking in that we have also brought together 4 CNAPs led by public health departments to support today's effort to enhance the important conversation and facilitate sharing among school nutrition services throughout the region and supportive partners. So I'd like to introduce each county representative, CNAP representative, and I want them to introduce themselves, and I'll start with LA County. Fatina Darwish.
Okay. Hi everyone, thank you Robin. My name is Fatina Darwish, and I am the Nutrition Access LA Coordinator for Los Angeles County, which is the name of our CNAP group. Our collaborative's goal is to increase food security among vulnerable populations in LA County through the promotion and enrollment of food assistance programs such as CalFresh, WIC, and school meals. If you are interested in joining or learning more about our collaborative, please email me at the email address listed on the slide, and enjoy your webinar.
Mm-hmm. And next we have from Orange County, Gina Osborne. Gina, can you unmute yourself?
Hi, this is Gina Osborne. I'm with the Orange County Healthcare Agency, and I am the coordinator for our County Nutrition Action Plan in Orange County. And similar to LA, our main focus is to increase food security by participating in all of the food and nutrition services programs for which our residents are eligible for. And we do meet on a quarterly basis. And if you would like more information, my contact information is also on the slide. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then from Riverside County, we have Andrea Murray.
Hi everyone, I'm Andrea, and I want to welcome you all to this really exciting meeting today. Riverside County, before COVID, was working on a lot of food rescue opportunities in different places. And now that we are considering some different situations that we're in, I'm really excited to have all of our partners share what they're working on currently, as well as what their forecast is for the future and where our CNAP can go. If you're interested in participating or just joining the email list, feel free to hit me up on the email or the phone, and I will add you, and you're welcome to be invited to the next one. Thanks so much.
Okay, and then on the next slide, I know we have some resources and links, and you should be able to have access to all of this information after our webinar today. So thank you so much, and I'll hand it back over to Betty.
Thank you, Robin Ronca. So that's how we collected all 4 counties. And Tommy, can you advance to the next slide? I wanted to thank all of the CNAPs for helping us push out all of this information, and we could not have done this without the sponsorship of No Kid Hungry. And we had the infamous Daisy, our senior program manager from No Kid Hungry, who makes a lot of stuff happen for all 4 of our counties. Go ahead, Daisy.
Thank you, Betty, and welcome to all of the participants. For those that do not know, No Kid Hungry is a nationwide nonprofit focused on ending childhood hunger in America. You will also see some poll questions come up during the screen as I'm talking. Go ahead and fill out those 3 questions, and we will review the results in a moment. So as you know, millions of people have lost their jobs during this pandemic. Parents are doing their best, but in the upcoming months, many will struggle to pay rent, pay bills, and put food on the table. This is a health crisis and an economic crisis, and both are disproportionately impacting low-wage workers and people of color. A report from Feeding America projects nearly 6.4 Californians may face hunger this year. And California is projected to see a greater increase in children living in food insecure homes than any other state in the nation. In LA County alone, there are 145,000 confirmed cases and over 4,000 deaths related to COVID, according to the LA Times yesterday. The good thing is nutrition programs are here to help. So I want to say a big thank you to all the school nutrition teams that have been on the front lines feeding kids in these scary and uncertain times. Amidst the coronavirus pandemic, true champions have emerged as schools, food banks, and community organizations have stepped up to quickly find innovative ways to safely feed kids while schools are closed. Next slide. Our primary focus in the past has been closing the breakfast gap at No Kid Hungry. And even though breakfast remains a priority, we want to ensure we're supporting school districts and community partners in alternative ways. This can mean food assistance outreach like How Fresh and Pandemic EBT, supporting CEP support, and supporting a wide range of programs, including home delivered meals, lunch, after school programs, community and school pantries, backpack programs, and other steps to safely reach kids and families with meals. You will also see the contact information of our Southern California support team, so please reach out to us if you would like to be a partner of No Kid Hungry. Next slide. So let's go ahead and review our poll questions and see who's in the room. So the first question is, who is here today? And the results are mixed. So we have 28% are school nutrition directors, or 17% school nutrition managers, and then a little bit of everything. Next question. Let's see. Next question was, when will your school district start for school year 2021? Tommy, can you pull up the answer for that one? Can we show the results? And I see people are having a hard time hearing me. So let me try a different mic and see if that helps.
All right, hopefully this is better.
Yes, that's better, Daisy. Thank you.
Okay,
No,
awesome.
you have about 45 seconds, girl.
All right, so let's go on to the next slide. All right, so here is a summary of the current COVID nutrition program nationwide waivers in effect until June 30th, 2021. I will also suggest attending the CDE School Nutrition Channel every other Tuesday at 2 o'clock. They have been providing very detailed state updates on waivers and petitions. And as a reminder, the CEP deadline has been pushed to August 31st, and it is a great way to streamline school operations, make things easier to implement meals in the classroom, eliminate unpaid school debt, and promotes equity and reduces stigma. Next slide. And we have identified a few resources to help you with back to school planning. And if you want to stay up to date on COVID resources from No Kid Hungry, please visit us at bestpractices.nokidhungry.org. So thank you so much. Take it back to you, Betty.
Beautiful. And we have Robin Hernandez, who used to be part of the Redlands team, and now she is working with No Kid Hungry and helping us all out here as well. Robin Hernandez, are you there?
I'm here. Thank you, Betty. And thank you, everyone. It is a privilege for me to be with you guys on this webinar today to share with you some ideas on how to navigate serving meals in the next school year. Next slide. I've actually been working with No Kid Hungry and their Centers for Best Practices these last couple months to develop a toolkit for back to school meals that will be coming soon. And I'm going to give you just a very brief overview, sneak peek of some of the ideas discussed in this toolkit. And they can all be modified and adjusted as needed for your campuses and district. So we broke them down into two categories. You're going to hear a lot of these models discussed today by our amazing speakers. We broke them into meals served to students on campus and those served to students that are going to be off campus for some form of distance learning. For meals served to students on campus, the models can be broken in basically into four categories. You've got your traditional BIC or breakfast in the classroom model, which now will include lunch for many districts, as well as what we're calling field trip style models, where you have more of a sack lunch with all of the components basically prepackaged together. These models ultimately provide the maximum amount of social distancing possible with minimum amount of student interaction. Now, if your school district is unable at this time to consider doing meals in the classroom, you can consider doing more of a grab-and-go format with carts, for example, for several POSs on campus. Or if you need to still do some sort of grab-and-go meals out of the the cafeteria, or MPR, we recommend using increased safety measures such as floor markers to keep students 6 feet apart, sanitizing between groups, elimination of keypads, and more. Next slide, please. For meal models served for students that are going to be off campus in some capacity, you know, there's the tried and true drive-through model or curbside service many of you are already utilizing for emergency meals. When school does go back in session for you and you have some students on and off that can be used in tandem, waiver permitting, with your other meal programs. Another way to get meals to students who are going to be eating off campus will be to also use forms of the BIC or field trip style models where, as an example, meals can be pre-bagged for the students and they can have them either delivered to the classroom prior to school letting out, or on their way out the door they can go to a predetermined location to pick up those bagged meals that maybe they will need for the next day that they won't be at school or the next week that they won't be at school. Next slide, please. And as I mentioned, the Back to School Toolkit is coming soon. We'll be on the Center for Best Practices website, and we'll try to arrange to actually email links out to you guys. This is a little sneak preview of some of the items that will be discussed with various links to amazing resources for you. Next slide. And then this is just another side note I wanted to share with you, a nice little free tidbit. If you visit schoolfoodhandler.com, there are some great free resources there that are HACCP-based SOPs that are written with COVID-19 in mind. They handle everything from warehouse staff to cafeteria staff. There's colorful handouts for staff training, everything regarding mask procedures. It's just one less thing to worry about. You can print them out. SOPs are all done, so you can check that out as well. And without further ado, I'm going to pass this back to Betty so that you can hear a little bit more about the food models that some of our amazing speakers are going to talk about today. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Lizette, the Director of Nutrition Services at Covina Unified School District. Lizette, are you there?
I am. Thank you, everybody. I'm honored to be here today and such an amazing group of directors with fantastic ideas. And also thank you to the 4 counties to put this together in partnership with No Kid Hungry. It's a pleasure. Today, I'm just going to try to share as many strategies as possible in 10 minutes to increase participation and program buy-in within your respective districts. Next, please. So not only am I here as a food service director for Covina Valley, but I'm also here representing as a member of the San Gabriel Purchasing Group. So our San Gabriel Valley Purchasing Group is a wonderful group of directors, about 30, that have independent membership, where we cooperatively bid goods for mutual benefit of their respective food service operations. So basically, not only do we bid together for better purchasing power, but we also share a number of ideas. Our district really range from small, medium to large, varying between 1,000 to 20,000 students enrolled. And our goals for this year are centered around 3 key areas. Number 1 is maximizing the use of the USDA waivers to increase our meal participation, finding low cost and safe ways to expand physical distancing with students by using our existing equipment, and also, and more importantly, next slide please, increasing free and reduced meal application outreach so that we could really reach out to our families. Here are just some examples of some of the ways that we will be offering our meals as a collaborative, as you know, the variety of our districts that are in the San Gabriel Co-op. Some of us will be offering grab and goes. Oops, if you can go back. Some of us will be offering grab and goes individually with lunch. Some of us will be sending meals home in a bundled package of 2 days or 3 days. And then lastly, some of our very innovative directors who did it over the spring closure, like Burbank and Azusa and some of our other districts, have gone to 1-week distribution. And really, you can think outside the box for those. Oops. Are we good, Tommy? Next slide. This is another option for grab-and-go meal service, is doing all-in-one salad kits. And so you can provide this with a side of milk and you're all done. Next slide. And this is a sample menu. Now, my menu has, for Covina Valley, it's already changed twice since Tuesday. But this is just one example of how you can put your meal kits together utilizing a 2-day-a-week distribution, outlining it by days, by the week, and making sure that to maximize the meal waiver by looking at bulk items such as maybe half gallons of milk or gallons of milk instead of individual cartons, or doing salad kits instead of, or whole fruit like pineapple and melons versus individual packaging. But just some ideas. Next slide. One main thing is, how do we save money? How do we not spend more money? So we actually are going to be repurposing our salad bars. So traditionally you'd see, you know, kids coming in doing offer versus serve and grabbing these fantastic meal options. But instead of this, what we will be doing, next slide. We will be repurposing them as grab and go carts. And so I'm going to show you a quick video. Go ahead, Tommy. Just to illustrate, this is something that we use a lot at Covina Valley. We take videos of everything before we actually roll out a process. And this is helpful so that you can identify whether something's going to work or not. So in this video, we've laid out the social distancing markers. We put out our sanitizing. Now, these are not the exact things we're going to be using, but just to kind of take time with a stopwatch to see how long it takes the kids to get through the line. And then also as they grab the meals, that it's effective and that we actually, if we have to train the kids on how to grab their meals so they don't drop them. And those are just some key ideas or strategies that you can use while you're taking video. And then we do want to do a contactless service. So we'll be using our student ID cards to scan their IDs using the keypads or through the infrared marker instead of having them punch in their numbers. Thank you. Next slide. At the elementary level, we've had a lot of discussion in our co-op regarding scanning ID cards, and most of our softwares actually have a barcode option. So I encourage all directors to look at that for their meal software. And so you can continue to utilize your speed lines if you're doing an in-student at school service, and obviously do your grab and goes, but still have them come through the line and scan them using handheld devices. Next slide. Obviously, if we're going 100% learning, many of us are probably going to follow the same models, but just keeping in mind how can we do things better, also maximizing the visuals. So we have our staff member on the left, instead of speaking to the families directly, we have signage so that we're using hand gestures instead of actually talking to the parents, and then staffing as many staff or volunteers as possible so that we're able to provide distance in our staff. So on the right, you see we actually had a specific trunk operator to manage the opening and closing of the trunks. Next slide. We actually had a difficulty with food storage, and so we happened to have two delivery trucks that are refrigerated. So we started early on, using them as storage, and because we are actually remodeling our facilities, our freezers and coolers, so we had no space. So that was an option for us. If you have those available to you, we were running them overnight and storing our food. And then if you have the funds available, you can also rent sea containers, and just be careful you review your quotes, because in the quotes I received, they were anywhere between $850 to $2,400. But the center picture shows how we were stacking them and rolling them into the trucks. Next slide. So one important discussion we've had is having a seat at the table during all this planning. As we all know, there's so many different changes that have happened from day one on March 16th and forward. So having a seat at the table with your stakeholders is significant, and making sure that your plans are organized and ready. And so when they ask you the question, you're ready to voice your concerns and the challenges that may occur based on the distance model, based on the breaks they're scheduling, and whether they're going AM, PM, making sure there's a lunch period. If there's not going to be a lunch period and there's no way to negotiate that, to be able to offer the option of, okay, well, we can do grab and go in this form or fashion utilizing our meal waivers. So it's important to be heard. Next slide. If you don't have that opportunity, however, a couple of the co-op members in our group have had some fantastic ideas and some partnerships. And Lori Fonseca from East Whittier School District was actually able to be part of the CDE guidebook for the safe reopening of California schools. On page 43 and 44, it specifies the importance of food service operations and to keep us in the conversation. So I encourage you guys to review that document. And also on the right, you see a creative format to present your information to your district administrators. Our director from Alhambra Unified, she used a menu format to list out the options that coincide with the learning models. And it's just a nice, fun, creative way to present that to your stakeholders. Next slide. Next slide. So lastly, I want to focus on communication and, oh, one more, go back. Nope, we go back. There you go. Nope. So Zoom has been our, we haven't been using Zoom, but we've been using Google Hangout. And so we jumped the bandwagon basically for virtual platforms to communicate and connect with our staff. So what we did early on is it took 2.5 weeks in my district, but we were able to get every single one of our 100 employees on our district email. Once we opened up that opportunity, we were able to send information to our staff and also send videos. And so one of the options that we used was creating a PowerPoint virtual orientation for our staff to come back. When we had staggered shifts as they returned to our distribution site, and as things evolved, we wanted to make sure they were comfortable and that they felt that they knew what they were walking into. And so we just took images of all of our different operations and made it available to them, and gave them the opportunity to ask questions beforehand so that they felt comfortable coming to the site and knowing exactly what to do. Next slide. I don't have time to show this video, but maybe after the presentation, basically we did a meal assembly training video as well. Many of you, as us, we were doing, you know, actual scratch cooking and able to, you know, create so many more recipes as opposed to a meal assembly where you're just packaging food items. It's a completely different process. And so we wanted to paint a picture for our staff coming in so they knew the expectation, but also see the behind the scenes that we are physically distancing the tables and we're providing as much safety as possible to our staff. Next slide. Finally, with wellness and safety, again, just painting that picture for your staff and making sure that they understand that, you know, you have the best intentions, but also to your families. So posting pictures on the website, letting them know that you know your safety procedures. On the top right-hand corner, that was our wellness check. People felt very apprehensive about what a wellness check looked like. And so we wanted to show them this is what it looks like, this is what we're doing, and it was pretty simple. Next slide. And then reaching out to our families in this COVID environment, it's been so difficult to communicate, and we want to make sure that our families are aware and have the resources to access our meal application. So many of us in the co-op are already offering online applications. I'm sure many of you are already doing that. A couple of additional resources you can provide, not only the actual one-on-one assistance, but printing out print screens of your application in multiple languages to make them available. And one new thing we're doing this year is actually we screencasted our complete application process from start to finish. It'll be available really soon on our website so that our parents can just click on the video, since most people nowadays seem to be learning on videos. Next slide. And so as a takeaway, I just want to say thank you to our staff. They are the definite heroes of this pandemic, and we are just so appreciative of everything that they do. Thank you.
Lizette, thank you so much. Those were a lot of awesome resources you shared. Friend, you are very popular. I would like to invite you to go down to that chat box. You got a lot of questions over there. Thank you. Dynamo for sure. Dr. Lewis, the CEO of School Day Cafe. Are you in the house, Dr. Lewis?
In the house.
In the house. It is all you, friend.
All right, great. Thank you very much for having me today, Chef Betty. It's a privilege to be here. Thank you, No Kid Hungry, for all your resources over the many years that we've worked together. Really appreciate that. I want to just explain to you what the School Day Cafe is. What is the Santa Clarita Valley School Food Services Agency? So this agency was born a little over 29 years ago. Districts came together here in the San Gabriel Valley to form a JPA, a Joint Power Authority. What does that mean? That means we serve more than just one district, but we are a public agency. We're not private. So we have 4 districts, and they are K through 6 districts. We have 38 schools in all in 4 different districts. So what we're looking at for next year is a bit of a challenge. All 4 of the districts have chosen different models. So some of them have chosen the half-day model, where cohort A goes in the morning and cohort B goes in the afternoon to school. And some of them have chosen the 2-1-2 model. So 2 full days with cohort A, Wednesday, everyone's at home, and then Thursday and Friday, cohort B goes to school. Our challenge was to maintain our customer service. We view ourselves as a business. We want to be sure that we're creating those personal relationships, because it isn't just a business transaction. We're actually creating memories, we're creating stories, and we know that because, as many of you out there have seen, we get thank you notes when the students have come through the line during the crisis. We get drawings, and a couple of the schools actually reported that they have chalk drawings on the sidewalk to greet the lunch ladies when they come to work in the morning. So it's really our job, and I take it to heart, to make sure that our children are fed well during the crisis. So being that we needed to feed different segments of the population for next year in different ways, in 2 different styles, we thought, how can we do this? So we brought together our cafeteria managers, we brought together our directors, food services. I want to just kind of step back. I'm not actually a director of food service, I'm the chief executive officer. So being a public agency and serving those districts, we are self-supporting. So what does that mean? That means we have our own agency, we have our own human resources department, we have our own business, financial departments, we have our own IT department, our own busing, our own transportation department as far as sending the meals out. So that's all self-supporting. So there is no general fund to fall back on. So no pressure, but that is one of our challenges. So we want to come up with a model that would work for us. So what did we do with coming up with that model? We thought, well, and this is a lot of different conversations with many different strata of employees. We thought we could come up with a 2-hour grab and go model. What does that mean? Well, we're looking at like 11:30 to 1:30, where we would be open either for grab and go or for some kind of a drive-through. When parents drive through and they want to pick up the meals for the days for that student, we're going to give them an index card with as simple as maybe a magic marker with the 6-digit ID code written on the dashboard on the card. They can display it, and as parents come through, we can type in the number really fast. It can also be no contact. They can pop open their trunk, kind of like they're doing now during this service, and we'll put the meals in the back for them. It also leaves us the option of being able to serve walk-ups, these grab-and-go meals. When the walk-ups come, students who walk to school, they can come to the awning. Social distancing, we'll put tape out, make sure that they're social distance, and get their meal then. It helps us also on those other days, the 212 days, be able to service those parents as well. So we'll have that 2-hour window open at all 38 schools. So it doesn't matter if you're half day or full day, this is the window of time where we'll be giving those meals. Even on the Wednesdays that are closed, the digital days, we'll be doing that as well. So that sort of solves the problem across the valley. It also serves the problem of schools being shut down. So we may be hearing that schools may not open. This model works for us because whether schools are open or schools are closed, we have the same 2-hour window. Let's say that we have an outbreak in one school and there's kids have to be transferred from that school to another school, it's the same model. If we have an outbreak with maybe some employees, God forbid, but if something were like that to happen and we have to move employees from one cafeteria to another or move substitutes from one cafeteria to another, it's the same model, it's the same basic training no matter what model we have. And we satisfied the 4 different school districts with their 4 different models and their 4 different boards of education. I think it's important for all of us to keep in mind that pandemic or not, our mission is to provide healthy meals to our students and share our experiences with them and to teach them how to eat right. So just because we are giving these grab and go lunches and breakfast and suppers, they're healthy, they're still teaching the guiding principles that we believe in. I know they're healthy, that everyone else believes in too. So no kid hungry, these are the same principles that we're still providing with a healthy meal every single day and that they meet all the different needs. So we're still working out the different details with all 4 school districts, but this grab and go model we think will work the best for us. And we also think that it'll be easy for us to train our staff and to keep everything going and smooth. What we heard during this past crisis from March until now is that a lot of parents told us, we look forward to coming and going to the drive-through. It's a time of day that is stable. It's a time of day that the children have someone to look forward to. It's a smiling face that they recognize. Who's been on campus this whole time, guys? We have, the child nutrition people. So I want everybody to reach back here and pat yourself on the back. We've been on campus, they recognize us, and we want to keep that going. And I'll be glad to take questions at the end, but that's our model, satisfying 4 different districts at one time. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. That was a great presentation. I love how you
also included the parents and the stakeholders in that conversation and collaboration. You know, one of the things that makes you so unique is that you oversee 4 different districts that you're responsible for. And I appreciate your flexibility in sharing all of that. In the Q&A and in the chat is where I'd invite you to go check out the conversations that are waiting for you.
Certainly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tommy, next slide, please. And then next we have my neighbor, Miss Fasat and Christina from Rialto Unified School District. Ladies, are you there? I understand that Fasat may not have a voice today. She's been working so hard.
She does not have a voice.
We love you, Fasat. We love you. Go ahead, Christina. It is all you. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us.
Hi, thank you, Betty, so much. We appreciate the opportunity to be able to share some of the ideas. And of course, Daisy from No Kid Hungry. You know, we're always trying to come up with new innovative ways to feed our families and our kids. And COVID has really kind of pushed us into just fast forward of having to constantly push ideas out at a rapid pace and to execute them smoothly so that we don't have any hiccups. For those of you who had an opportunity to tune into the town hall with the CDE on Tuesday, you would have heard a lot of, Fawcett had the opportunity to speak and did a phenomenal job explaining all the things that are kind of going on in Rialto and things that we see coming forth in the future. And with everyone, everything is just in a state of motion and fluidity. For us, for serving lunches, what we were looking at for this coming year is that we're trying to determine a model that's going to help us transition from what we're doing now into what we're used to doing in normal time, but then also has the flexibility to allow us to go between a classroom service, a modified classroom service, and then maybe back out to a full distance learning again. What we're looking to do, we had breakfast in the classroom in the bag. Like we were doing really, really well with that. We have 8 elementary schools and breakfast in the classroom, and we had just opened 2 high schools, full high schools doing breakfast in the classroom. Our district has 3 high schools. We had 2 of them, and it was just a phenomenal operation. And we wanted to take the equipment we already had on hand and how do we turn that into a lunch program for our kids? And that, and the, you know, like with everyone, the district's we don't have a solid plan yet of what we're doing when we come back, but we're looking at, you know, still being on distance learning for at least the first 30 days. And then there's talk of this kind of, you know, the AM and PM groups of children being on campus. And there's not going to be the full volume of kids, which means the equipment that we already have for the breakfast in the classroom could put double as a lunch in the classroom. Plus we would have so much staff, they're going to need something to do. We're going to need to be able to put them to work. So utilizing the red and blue bag system, which if anybody has seen the breakfast in the classroom setup, there's a black trolley, there's a blue bag that's good for fruits and cold items and milks, and then there's the red bag, which is for mostly for hot items and entrees. And elementary, that one's easy. There's not going to be very many kids on classes and on campus, and the number of classrooms, we could still service breakfast, the bags can come back, get sanitized, and we're going to re-put the food back in there for lunch and go back. The elementaries are only going to have a single meal option. So that's going to be an easy transition. The more options is going to come into when we go into a middle school and high school, and we don't want to just say you're only getting one option. We're still going to be cooking from scratch, and we want the kids to still determine what the menus are going to be. So we're going to be surveying our kids, utilizing our online availabilities for innovative ways to determine what the menus are and allow them to help us via Google surveys and stuff. What are your favorite menu options that we have? Give them a choice to where they have 2 hot items and a cold item and say, okay, pick your options that you'd like to do. And then we're going to do customizable bags of lunch. And because the smaller sizes are going to be on campus, it's going to allow for us to do an offer versus served in a customizable form. And of course, this is all working theory. This is what we want to do, but because we're going to have limited amounts of kids on campus, it's going to allow us to test run this, to allow us to try this. So the kids are going to be eating that food and not putting that food into the garbage cans. So, and then, you know, are we going to have, maybe we have 4 different options of fruit and they can pick the fruit that they want. They get to pick the flavor of milks that they want. And then we're going to be able to put labels on those bags and send them to the classroom. We are also going to be doing the scanning option, so there's not going to be any, we don't have to worry about rosters, there's not going to be touching any cards, there will be 0 keypads, and there'll be a scanning option. Now, if something were to happen and say we go back out to distance learning, we're still going to have to be able to say, where are the food, like where are they going to be picking up their meals from? And we're still going to have meal accountability. So those kids are going to be able, the parents are going to be able to say, hey, you know what, I have a high school student and I have elementary kids, but the middle school is the closest to my home. Can I pick that up from the middle school? That's not going to be a problem because now she's ordering the meals that she needs for her children. And we're going to make sure that at the middle school, the elementary, the middle school, and the high school student, all their meals are going there. And they're going to have the proper components at that school to account for it. But the breakfast in the classroom model, for us, going back to that, the middle school and high school, we had the kids were coming to the cafeteria to pick up the bags and roll those back to their classrooms, because we don't want all that contact on the equipment, and we have enough staff. So the staff that we would have, say, for example, at a middle school, we won't need the same volume of staff that we had before. They have less students on campus. And so we're going to be able to take some of that staff and transfer it to, say, a high school. And then that way, our staff would be the ones responsible for taking the bags to the classrooms. And we would be able to do that in shifts. So if this first group of kids gets out, say at noon, then we would be able to start doing 2 bags at a time and send 10 employees out, and they get to do 2 classrooms at a time, and they get to start dropping bags in the classrooms. And that would allow for those meals to be there when those kids get done. They can pick that up thanks to the waiver, and they can take it with them and leave. Go catch their bus, go catch their, walk home. But then that meal is exactly what they ordered. It's what that they wanted from the cafeteria. They would be able to, even give us some kind of input. We'd be talking to them and making sure that what they're getting is what they want. Taste testings, we haven't kind of figured that out yet, but we're gonna try and figure out how we're gonna do that. And so we can still try new food items. But the scratch cooking, the garden fresh items, because we do have several gardens, we want to make sure that their garden food is being utilized, and their lunches are all things that we want to make sure that we have. Right now, for our grab and go distribution that we've been doing, we've been cooking from scratch. We've been pre-plating it and having the fruit. So it's going out as a unitized meal, but going into the school year, we want it to be a unitized meal that the kids are selecting. So, I mean, that's kind of the plan that we're looking at. I encourage you, if you have not seen, the town hall meeting from Tuesday, to look into it. There was a lot more information into some of the model and stuff that we're going into, but this is just a small portion of what our innovation is to go into the lunch program. And the biggest change is not so much going from breakfast to lunch, is that we're going to take it to lunch for our middle and high schools, but make it customizable so that it's, we're giving them what they want. So it's the same as them coming to the cafeteria, except for we're now bringing the cafeteria to them. Thank you.
Christina, the Village of Rialto, always impressive. Your commitment to service and scratch cooking is duly noted. And your families, I've heard from many of them that they're just loving all of that. You can see you're all over social, just a leader in San Bernardino County. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Betty.
And you have a couple of questions waiting for you down in the chat, so please go ahead and go on down there. And then next up, we're going to transition over to Riverside County. We have the infamous Stephanie Bruce from Palm Springs Unified School District. She's the Director of Nutrition Services. Stephanie, are you there?
I'm here. Thanks, Betty.
Welcome.
Thank you so much to No Kid Hungry, Share Strength, and to the public health departments who really got this together. And I have to say, our Riverside University health program here in Riverside County, it can't be matched. They have been so amazing at supporting us and helping us through this process, and all the great information they've put out for us has really helped keep our staff safe through this. So a big thank you to all of you for that. Next slide, Tommy. So in this crazy pandemic world, I always kind of go back to some of my favorite quotes from people that I admire. And this one has really resonated with me through this whole process. When patterns are broken, new worlds emerge. And in talking to so many people and people scrambling to get individually wrapped items and pre-packaged, shelf-stable, you know, we here just decided, you know what, this is our opportunity. It's our opportunity to completely change the face of school lunch, because we're going to have less kids on campus when they do come back. And we are actually looking to eliminate much of our packaging as we move forward. Some of it, of course, is still going to be a little packaged, especially as we get back into the swing of things. But like everyone else, you know, we're currently doing a weekly distribution for all of our students at 8 of our, out of our 27 locations. But I wanted to talk a little bit about what's going to happen in our secondary schools when we go back to school. Next slide, Tommy. And we have a plan. Our plan is to start school 100% distance learning until such time that we can have students back in the classroom. And when they're back in the classroom, we have decided to go with a hybrid learning model. And this is a logistical feat, to say the least, because we'll have 3 cohorts of students. Cohort A will be on campus Monday and Tuesday. Cohort B will be on campus Thursday and Friday, and cohort C will be 100% distance learning. So we'll have to feed the students that are on campus, and then we'll also have to provide meals to go for the rest of the week, and then open up on Wednesday to serve our distance learners. So part of how we're working this out for now, and I always tell people this is our plan today, because as everyone has been saying, I think someone in the chat box says she has whiplash from all the changes, and I'm with you. Things change, and they're probably going to change again here real quickly. So pay attention to what's going on in the state, so that you can also pivot. But we have decided we do have some breakfast in the classroom programs. They've always been difficult to maintain, not because it's difficult to do, but mainly from a union negotiation process. So we decided to make things a little easier, because this time is very contentious with unions and districts right now, trying to just get people back into the classroom. And our other concern was the disinfecting of all of the bags we would have to disinfect after every service. We just don't have the time and labor to do that. So we opted for a grab and go model, and it'll be a served breakfast. They will not have a choice for breakfast. It will be a cold breakfast. And we will provide that at the entrance to every single school site, hand it to the students as they walk on campus, and they can either go to one of the open areas where there will be the areas designated for them to sit so they can maintain that social distance, or they can take it into the classroom and eat it while they're waiting for class to start. We do still have some second chance breakfast programs, and we're going to pass out breakfast meals at those locations during that time. And some principals have requested that the boxes be delivered to the classroom, which we're all too happy to do. So different models, it's adaptable, but one menu really for breakfast as we start back into the process. We're in the process of retrofitting all of our speed lines. I have a gentleman who is out here every single day fabricating plexiglass barriers on every single one of our speed lines. So students will not be allowed to grab, reach their hands in and graze across a series of items to minimize those touch points and to make everything as contactless as possible. My staff will be serving them on a plate. So that is why we're taking the opportunity to stop as much packaging as possible. We had just installed our last salad bar in our last school. I had salad bars in middle schools, high schools, and elementary schools, and then this hit, and those are gone. So we want to do everything we can to still provide and encourage our students to eat fresh fruits and vegetables. And so that's how we're going to manage that during the lunch process. The students will come through. We are 100% CEP, but we do have multiple serving points. So students will either have to scan their badge. If they don't have their badge, we will still have keypads, but our employees will be entering the number for the student. So they will have to tell us the number, we'll enter it so that there's only one person touching that keypad throughout meal service. We're also doing meals to go. So those students who are on campus Monday and Tuesday, as they leave campus Tuesday afternoon, they'll be excused either through the cafeteria or through a location where we have the meals lined up, and they'll grab their meals to go and take those home for the remainder of the week. On Wednesdays, we will open up to curbside meal service. We're going to open up all of our elementary schools for meal service, not every school. And the reason we decided to do that was because many of our families have students in multiple schools, and we didn't want them to feel they had to go to 3 different schools to get their students' meals. So they can go to the closest elementary site or to the elementary site that one of their children attends. They'll have a card that they will use, and it's going to look something similar to this. This is what we've been using during the summer. It's a punch card so that we can make sure that we're serving our students and not adults, so to speak, even though we know we're feeding the community and we're okay with that. But this card will then have all of the barcodes of the students in that family. So when they show up to a site, they'll bring this card, we'll scan the barcode, account for them in our meal service, so they then can't drive to another site and get reserved. We'll have iPads out at the curbside, we'll have wireless scanners, we'll also have the keypad attached to that iPad as well in case someone doesn't have their barcode, and we'll have a notebook by school site alphabetically of students just in case we need to look someone up to make sure that we can serve someone and not send them away. That's one thing we really don't want to do. If you can go to the next slide. One of the things that we're really trying to embrace is technology. And as you know, before this pandemic, there are so many online order systems out there. And if you talk to any of your students, or if you walk onto a high school campus, you probably see Postmates and Uber Eats pulling up to your campus during lunch. I know I've seen it. So we are embracing that. And we are working with a company to develop some online ordering systems so the parent can order for the student if they want. They can order a week in advance, the day before or the day of, up until a certain time. A teacher could order for a classroom. So if we end up switching to an in-classroom model, then the teacher can submit the order as they're taking roll, and we can prepare that food and have it delivered to the classroom. Or a student can order for themselves if they want to. We're also going to set up a virtual produce bar and a virtual sandwich bar. And that way students can actually they won't be able to physically put the items on their salad, but they can design their own salad, order it in advance, and then get directed to a certain location on campus in order to pick that up at lunchtime. We're trying really hard to think outside the box and to make sure that we are providing something that the students really want. We tested a lot of different items last year. We tested ramen bowls, Buddha bowls, burrito bowls. We even did a Kentucky Fried Chicken style bowl with fried chicken and mashed potatoes and gravy. And the kids really loved it. And what they wanted to do is be able to customize their own bowl. So we are looking at an Asian style, a Mexican style, a Mediterranean style, and a vegetarian or vegan style. And that way everybody can put what they want. They feel like they're going to a restaurant or a hip cafe, because that's really what they're doing now. I don't know if you ever noticed, but the only line I see kids standing in anymore is Starbucks. I don't really see them standing in line anywhere else because they have the capability of ordering online. So we are taking advantage of that. And as we go back to this hybrid model, that's what we're going to do. And we are committed, just like Rialto, to keep that scratch cooking and make sure that children can actually customize their meals and get rid of the institutional appearance that our school meals have become over the years, or maintained over the years. It's really time to just kind of think outside the box. So that's a little bit of what we're doing here, and stay tuned. I'm sure the plans will change again, but we're happy to share when they do.
Thank you, Stephanie. That card that you showed us, can you hold it up to the screen again? There we go. Somebody was asking for that. So thank you so much. And you have a couple of questions waiting for you, Chica, down in the chat box. Thank you.
Got it.
Take care. And then we have another Redlands alum, Miss Lani Izumi. Lani, are you there?
I'm here.
Lani, how many counties are you in?
3.
Yes. So you have a really unique position here, and we can't wait to hear from you, Lani, the Executive Director of Nutrition Services of Oro Grande School District.
Thank you, Betty. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. So a little background on my district. We are a public K through 12 charter school district. We are located in San Bernardino County. We have 14 school sites. Even though we are a little smaller, we're kind of unique in the way that we do cover 3 counties. And our furthest site that we service each day with meals is over 150 miles away. We are currently set back, now this can change, to go back to school on August 3rd. We have offered our families 3 different learning models, 5 days a week, a hybrid, and then 100% distance learning. 89% of our families have elected to come back full time. So this was decided late in June. I've had little time to come up with this plan because we're coming up on our deadline soon. We have about 2 weeks. So before COVID hit, we had 0 meals in the classroom. Fast forward to August, we're going to be serving all meals in the classroom at all 14 sites. One of the key factors that's been in my favor is I had already planned on doing breakfast in the classroom. So I did receive some grant funds that will help offset the cost of the equipment that will be needed to service the meals in the classroom and get the program up and running. The first step I've actually took once decided that we're going to do the meals in the classroom was to meet with our district nurse, because there is so many teachers and staff that are concerned about the sanitation. We put together a plan that will be placed in each classroom, and also all of the staff and teachers will be trained before we start the school year. Each of the food items will be individually wrapped. Not my first choice. So I'm hoping once we get going, we're able to do more of a variety, because right now we're just going to have 1 week cycle with 1 menu option per day for breakfast and lunch. So hopefully as we go along, we will be able to offer more than just the 1. So as far as the production goes, our nutrition services staff will start early in the morning at about 4 a.m. and they'll pack each of the meals into the individual bags, and then from the bags they'll go into insulated totes that are on wheels that will be delivered by our proctors, which are our yard duties and stuff like that. They call them proctors here. That will be delivered to the classroom. At the secondary sites, some of our students will be also picking up the meals, so it just depends on the staff that we have. After each meal, they will be brought back to the cafeteria and sanitized. So out of the 14 sites, we only have 5 kitchens. So that's also been real fun. We do not have a central kitchen either. We have production kitchens, which are kind of small. So we've actually done a lot of test runs trying to get this program up, and we're going to start utilizing our multi-purpose rooms for production purposes. So the drivers will I also only have 2 drivers. So from that, the drivers will pick up the meals that do not have the kitchens at the sites and deliver them. We've done a lot of test runs with that as well to make sure that we get our meals delivered on time for meal service. As far as record keeping goes, I've worked with the principals at each site, and we're going to have a live Google spreadsheet listed with each student by grade and teacher that we're going to use for a head count. I'm hoping moving forward we can use that also as kind of like our menu options will be on there, and the students can order what they want to have each day. And then from there, the nutrition services staff will take those spreadsheets and then verify the count and complete our production records. Last year, we had 0 CEP sites. So this year I've applied for a district-wide CEP. So I'm hoping I hear back soon, because that'll make my life a whole lot of a heck easier. I've also worked with our M&O director to purchase the big trash cans that can be rolled into the classroom, empty each day, just filled with the trash from the food and then taken out each day by the custodians. Due to the social distancing required to bring the students back full time, my district has had to double our number of classrooms. So that has also had a big toll on us. So we've had to do a lot of dry runs to make sure that we're able to keep everything on time and get the food to the students as needed. Currently, I'm working on SOP because that's what's the other big part is having all the staff and teachers trained to make sure that we're taking the proper steps. Because obviously it's a whole nother world for teachers because they aren't food service professionals. So that's pretty much all I have.
Thank you, Lanny. And you have a couple questions waiting for you down in the box. I love the name of your title because that's where a lot of us are, is going from 0 to 100%. And I also wanted to let the audience know that Miss Lanny has been summoned into another planning meeting for her district. So she will be leaving us here in a hot minute, but you do have a couple of questions I hope you have time for.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lanny. Nice seeing you.
Nice to see you. Take care. Take care, everybody.
And then we have Orlando, our Orange County representative. He serves as the Director of Food Services of Anaheim Union High School District. Orlando, are you there?
I am here.
Okay, it is all you. Enjoy.
Thank you so much. Hi guys, I just want to give a big thanks to No Kid Hungry and CNAP for allowing me to participate in this important conversation. Full disclosure guys, my ideas aren't original. They come from a variety of sources. I've been fortunate to surround myself with people who challenge me to be a better director. My management team and staff don't hesitate to ask the hard questions or bring solutions that are better and different from my own. And I've been pretty darn fortunate to be part of a group of directors who I trust and have become my team essential. So a little bit about my department. My department provides meals for 2 districts, Anaheim Union High School District and Anaheim Elementary School District. In total, we serve an enrollment of approximately 46,000 students in 42 schools. And 74% of our students qualify for free or reduced price meals. Can I have the next slide, please? So we just learned that both the high school district and the elementary district will be distance learning. So for us, the real work begins. Like all of you, ensuring the health and safety of our employees and students continues to be our top priority. To that end, my team has been completing risk assessments at all 42 sites. So what that kind of looks like is they go out and they make sure that health screening measures are in place, they review work and rotation schedules, they ensure appropriate signage is in place and that staff has been trained and that staff uses personal protective equipment. It's not unusual for them to remind the superintendent of schools or my boss, the assistant superintendent of administrative services, to put their mask on or to step away if they're closer than 6 feet. And in the coming days, we're going to be doing complete walkthroughs of the elementary schools and assist the elementary district with the production of a video that's going to show parents what meal service will look like and what to expect when their young scholars arrive to pick up a curbside meal. We're going to be working with both districts to ensure meal schedules are aligned. We don't want meal service to be dramatically different from one school to another, especially since siblings may walk together to their respective schools to pick up meals. As we pivot from seamless summer meal distribution to a new school year, we know we can do curbside meals really well. Up until today, we've served about over 900,000 meals. And by the way, folks, it is only the 122nd day of this crisis. So we closed down 122 days ago. So what we need to do now is to count and claim those curbside meals by benefit status and collect cash from full price students. And since Anaheim Union High School District isn't CEP or Provision 2, counting and claiming meals, quite frankly, presents a bit of a challenge for us. So to that end, we're going to be requiring students and parents to bring enrollment or student identification in order to pick up a meal. ID cards and numbers aren't new for our secondary students, but they will be for our elementary students and our elementary school employees. for our elementary students, when they go through the serving line during normal times, our cashier sees the little face on the computer and punches the icon, and the student goes on their way. So having them present an ID or having enrollment information is going to be a little bit new for them. So we're developing outreach and training materials that are going to make the process easy for parents, students, and especially our employees. Like all of you, under the National School Lunch and Breakfast programs, we claim breakfast at breakfast and lunch at lunch. So since we're going to be serving breakfast and lunch at the same time, we work with our point of sale company to create a button that our cashiers can press that claims both meals at the same time. Since we're only going to have since we're only going to have one meal period, it's extremely important that we have the capability of doing that. So before our point of sale company created that option, we were quite frankly envisioning chaos as families and students came to the serving line, and we wondered how we would account for the breakfast and lunch being served at the same time. We've been asked, will students still be able to take just a breakfast or just a lunch? And yes, they will be able to take just a breakfast or just a lunch, or they can take both. At this time, we don't plan on serving multiple meals for multiple days. If we can develop a system that protects program integrity, counts and claims meals, and ensures we collect payment for full price meals without increasing negative balances, we'll definitely think about multiple meals for multiple days. Quite frankly, we're struggling to figure out how to charge and collect payment from full price students who might want breakfast and lunch today, but then they don't want breakfast tomorrow, but they do want lunch, but they want breakfast for the following day. So unfortunately, we aren't quite there yet with that plan, but hopefully we will be soon. So we're also continuing to develop policies and procedures that parents and students who might go to another site for parents and students who might go to another site to pick up a meal. We happen to have 2 elementary schools that are under construction, and under normal circumstances, those kids would be bused to their alternate location. And while they are distance learning, we know they're not going to be bused to an alternate location just for lunch. It's more likely they're going to walk across the street to get their delicious and nutritious meal. So we're recognizing that they have to be able to pick up a meal at an alternate location, so that has to be an important part of our program. And then we have families who don't qualify for free reduced price meals. So we're encouraging families to go cashless as much as possible. As an added incentive for families to go cashless, for the months of August and September, we're running a special where my department is going to be absorbing the transaction fees charged to parents by the online payment company. So we're going to be marketing that. We're going to be placing it all over the place, just getting families to prepay online as much as possible. So for each of us, it's important to bring some normalcy to students' lives. We are determining whether meals will be served at all 42 sites. We're getting a lot of questions about that from parents. They would like that. But we're also looking at whether we're going to strategically select schools throughout the district, just as we did for the seamless summer option. We want to ensure our students see familiar faces and they don't lose contact with the school lunch heroes they have frankly come to love and trust. So our intent is to provide them with a variety of pre-plated meals, just like everyone else. And as we continue to work on menus, we are also cognizant, we're really aware of including students who are our most vulnerable and may have special diets. So my assistant director, Tiffany, is working on that to make sure that if the question comes, we can answer it. May I have the second slide, please? So we've been particularly concerned about whether families are going to submit free and reduced price meal applications. I was asked today by Daisy why we weren't on CEP, and then we also talked a little bit about Provision 2, and I can't imagine anyone trying to do Provision 2 this year, and my condolences to anyone that has, because what we're looking at is we're thinking that families just aren't going to be submitting free and reduced applications like they used to. So what we did is we developed a QR code. A QR code was created and a bit.ly link was created that's going to take families directly to the online meal application. Posters with the QR code and the bit.ly link are going to be posted at all schools and the district office, and we're including the QR code on just about anything and everything that we send to parents. My employees, as well as other district employees who are going to have a bit of extra time on their hands, are going to be spending time calling families directly to encourage them to apply for meal benefits and assist them with applications if necessary. And of course, we're always going to be reminding parents of the many benefits of being approved for free and reduced price meals, not the least of which is a nutritious and delicious meal. And when parents help their children log on to Zoom distance learning class, we're asking both districts, the high school district and the elementary district, to create a pop-up window reminding mom and dad of the availability of the online free and reduced price meal application. So when they log little Agnes onto her Zoom class, they have to see that pop-up window first, and then they'll click out of it, and it's just a gentle reminder, a gentle nudge that free and reduced application is available. And then also on our website, parents will see a pop-up window that reminds them of the free and reduced application, and they actually have to click out of the pop-up window before they can go onto the website. May I have the third slide, please? As I end my presentation, we have found that keeping our stakeholders, especially students and parents, informed, and it has proven to be extremely important. Since the normal means of communication have changed, robocalls, emails, social media, and distributing information at our meal distribution centers has become the new normal for us. We've created signage and flyers that provide meaningful information for our parents. What we found is parents and students appreciate the information, especially information that answers the many, many questions that they have. We created an information card that details the safety measures we have taken. We created a small business card that includes the QR code and the bit.ly address that we're slipping in lunch meal bags, but also giving it out at registration. And parents have really just appreciated knowing we are taking the health and safety of our employees and their children seriously. And since students will be attending online Zoom sessions with their teachers, we thought that was a perfect opportunity to remind students to pick up meals from school. So there in the right-hand corner, what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a little ad or a reminder pop-up window that students are gonna see as they're beginning their distance learning or just before they break for lunch, just reminding them that we're here for them and we're gonna be providing them with a meal. So I hope I've given you one or two takeaways from this presentation. I would be remiss if I didn't thank our amazing vendors for providing us with solutions, ideas, answers, and a lot of patience. Please continue to wear your masks, and let's hope we get back to normal soon. Have a great day.
Orlando, thank you so much. And, you know, kudos to you. I agree. Everything that we learned from all of our director friends and colleagues, it really adds to the greater good. And I am not a 100% CEP district either, and I feel your pain on all of that and coming up with creative solutions to be of service to the families. Thank you very much. And Orlando, you have in the chat box, you have a couple of questions waiting for you too.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so now we have an opportunity to go to the Q&A. And my partner, Robin Ronkus, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
So Robin is our leader and champion of the Q&A box. Let's see if we can knock this one out of the ballpark, Robin.
Okay.
How would you like to do
Okay. What I'd like to do is start with Orlando and go back up since he was most recent. So I think that'll be fresh in people's mind. One of the questions is, what point of sale system are you using? And that's a question from Linda.
We use Harris Etrition.
Okay. And then also, do you have different elementary and secondary prices? And if so, how will you charge at curbside? One price, secondary price, elementary price? And that was a question from Ingrid.
So a little bit of a challenge with that. So our elementary breakfast is provision 2, but our elementary lunch is not. So elementary lunch is priced the same as the secondary lunches. So we charge $3 for elementary lunch and $3 for secondary lunch. And then the secondary students are going to be charged $1.75 for breakfast. And that's exactly why we're going to be encouraging parents to prepay as much as possible. If we can go cashless, all the better. And then parents don't need to worry about sending their children to school with cash. They don't need to be worried about cash. And quite frankly, we don't need to be worried about cash.
Okay, great. Thank you. And this question is for Stephanie. Stephanie, what system are you using for online ordering? And that's a question from Kelsey.
Well, our point of sale is Meals Plus, but we're actually using Healthy Meal Planner Pro They have a new update that had everything we were trying to build with another company, and it's fabulous.
Okay. And another question from Bailey is, will the ordering system for parents, students, and teachers send online orders to the school cafeteria only?
It can customize where you want it to send. So if you're a central facility and you'd rather have it sent there, you can do that. Or send it to a different location. The parent can actually choose.
Wonderful. And then everybody loved your punch card. And so the request was if a punch card could be shared in the webinar as part of the
Yeah,
follow-up.
I will get an electronic copy and I'll get it to Tommy so that he can send it out with all the materials.
Okay, thank you. And
Welcome.
then this is for Fasat and Christina. Do you expect a lot of students to respond to the survey that you mentioned, or would you also market the survey over social media?
No, it would be both. We do expect a lot of response on it. We've done surveys before, but we like to utilize through the schools, utilizing, we work with our ASBs, and then they push it out to the students while the students are actually on campus. And then we can also go through through like a parent, like the parent view. Thank you. Through parent view, and that way it's going directly to our kids. Putting things on social media opens it up to the public, and we want to make sure that our surveys about the food and the menuing is going to our students, and that way it's modeling what they want to eat, not general everybody. So we want to make sure that we probably advertise on social media to look for your surveys, but not give the link for the survey.
Okay, thank you. Another question from Michelle. How are you going to distribute the meals to students who are distant learning? Oh, that's for you, Fasat and Christina.
I'm sorry, Robin, can you repeat that?
They asked, how are you going to distribute the meals to the students who are distant learning or distance learning?
When they're on distance learning, we're going to do similar to what everybody's kind of talked about, selecting certain sites. Because that has not been determined yet. We don't know if maybe we'd utilize the same 8 sites that we're already currently utilizing, that the families are used to. And then, you know, kind of because we're going to be doing meal accountability and having to scan things in, and then allowing the parents then to register so that we kind of know. Yeah, we're going to be utilizing transportation also to make the cafeteria mobile. So we do have lots of students that are in locations that are unsafe for them to walk to a location. So we're actually working with transportation now to devise a plan in order to take the cafeteria to our students.
Okay, great. Thank you. For Robert Lewis, there was just a comment in his section, and one of the companies has created a grab-and-go smoothie. How can we obtain assistance to let more schools know about the product? They talked about it's perfect for remote feeding and social distancing. So it was mainly a comment there. Okay.
Thank you.
And then that was it for in that section. And then Lizette, how are you accounting for meals when your district goes distance learning? Assuming you are K to 12, can parents pick up meals at one location for more than one child that goes to a different site due to a different grade? And that was from Agnes.
Yeah, I replied to her chat, but we, right now we're still working with our meal software company, Meals Plus, to see if they can come through for us with a way that we can use the transaction. I know Stephanie uses the same software, so I'm sure she's already had that conversation. But worst case scenario for now, as long as we have to account for meal eligibility, is we've talked to our TSS, our technology department. So they're going to work with us to connect 3 terminals or 2 terminals, depending if we're offering a breakfast or lunch. We only have 1 distribution site in our district, but it's in the center of the city that would be able to cover all schools. So that when we do scan their barcodes, that we're able to run the transaction for each meal type, and then later account for the bulk meals. That's worst case scenario. But we, in order to reach the rest of our families, we're also going to be looking into maybe like a Meals on Wheels program or delivering meals to families that can't come to the distribution site.
Okay, great, thank you. Also, Lizette, do you provide all of your staff with a Chromebook or computer?
Our district does make that available to all of our staff because they have an since we are a one-to-one device district. We have an excess of Chromebooks, and so we made that available right at the closure of COVID to our essential staff like managers and those that needed access. And then we've slowly been able to turn them over to the rest of our staff. But they are able, although it's, you know, something that we can't force our employees to do or require them to do, most of our employees have gained access or have established access to look at their email through their phone.
Thank you. And then one last question. You had quite a few questions, Lizette. Do weekly lunches include perishable items? He says, I'm wondering if there's been any collaboration with the energy savings assistance programs to ensure families have functioning refrigerators.
Right. So I can't speak to the energy savings program, but what we are offering perishable items. Specifically in my district, I'm trying to advocate to have a completely separate meal distribution instead of distributing at the elementary schools, because it's creating a lot of challenges. Again, like I was speaking earlier about the points of sale, but we are providing perishable items. So we want to basically remove the responsibility to our children and seek our parents to deliver the meals directly to our parents. So the responsibility is on the parent, not the child, for food safety reasons.
Okay, great. And I know that there was another poll question with some CNAP kind of informed questions. So I don't know if any of you were able to go ahead and fill that out and send it. That would be great. Also, let's see. One more for Lizette. If you are providing multiple meals to students, how are you accounting for meals served on different days? What if a student doesn't want to take all 5 meals but only wants 1? And that's from Tiffany.
So I kind of answered part of that question earlier, but the other piece of it is we will be bundling meals only. I know Orlando spoke to this in his presentation about finding the happy medium with being able to run, you know, if a student chooses to have one meal versus multiple. But because we anticipate that we're going to lose a lot of our paid participation and we're focusing on our free and reduced, most of our families that participate will not have to deal with the transaction piece of it. But the logistical piece of it is going to be very difficult if we don't bundle the meal. So at this point in time, we've decided to only bundle the meals, which is why we originally had a 2-day-a-week distribution to make it more flexible to parents. But if we do go the route of distance learning, our district is requesting that we do once a week distribution.
Okay, great. There is another question in the question and answer box, and I think we can just throw it out there and whoever wants to answer it. If students can pick up at a site other than where they attend school, how are you ensuring compliance with menu patterns like a high school student picking up meals at an elementary site?
Is Stephanie Bruce still on the line?
Yeah, I'm here. We actually design our menus so that we design a K-12 menu. So no matter what site they go to, it all meets.
And the use of the USDA waivers will give you the flexibility so that as long as you have that documented and submitted to CDE, you don't have to meet all of the meal pattern requirements on a regular school year.
Okay, great.
Yeah, thank God for that annual waiver.
Yeah, amen. Amen.
Yeah, and then we have one participant encouraging everyone to sign on to SNA letter to Congress asking for year-long SSO and SFSP.
Already did.
Yay, okay.
Yay.
Okay, and Betty, unless there's something else that anybody wants to ask in the chat box, I think that pretty much covers all of the questions.
Yeah, Tommy, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Tommy, I just want to give you a shout out. You're keeping us on track, and I want to say thank you so much. And I wanted to ask the No Kid Hungry team if you could please send out that request that we were just talking about, requesting the SFSP all year long. We definitely need help. Districts like Orlando and myself, we are struggling when we're not 100% CEP, and there's so much innovation here. Stephanie Bruce and Rialto are just full of innovation surprise. And Lizette presented a lot of nice information as well. She had probably the most chat. So thank you so much. And without further ado, we have Mr. 707 himself. I don't know if anybody's Facebook Live, but we have Mr. Matt Upton to close out the show here this evening. Is Matt Upton around?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay, spotlight is all yours. And we have 11 and a half minutes, friends.
Thank you. Thank you. I am honored to be here with such profound and innovative people who really are not thinking outside of the box. Each of you are creating new boxes to innovate in and create new presence. And as I've been around the last 121 days out on the road, I've served in 60 different school districts at 75 different sites. And as of yesterday, 543,110 meals that I've given an assist with at the curbside. And one of the things that I have recognized through all of this is how that each of you are like palm trees. And there's 5 lessons that we can gain from the palm tree. And every one of us, we look out of our window right now, the windows of our office, the windows of our homes, or the windows of our car, wherever we're on this call at, there's probably a palm tree that's close to you. And there really are 5 different lessons that we can gain from this. And there's a sheet that you can download and take notes from if you'd like. The first lesson is the root system of a palm tree. The root system of a palm tree reaches down into the ground like a great big hand and grabs the ground rather than creating its root system on the surface, which gives it the ability to hang out during challenging storms like we've been going through for the last 120 to 21 days. It's been incredible that we do that. And that teaches us that each of us have to grab a hold of our ultimate mission or purpose in what we're doing. And what we do is bring our best served curbside for the kiddos. And when we started this out, it was to feed our students. And the little secret is that we're no longer feeding just students. We're feeding their siblings, their younger siblings, and families now have electricity still coming to their house, water running to their house. Some of them are able to buy their medication because of what each of us are doing in bringing our best serve through meals at the curbside. The second lesson that we can learn from the palm tree is the bark system of a palm tree. The bark really takes a beating sometimes, and you would think that that beating would scar the tree and damage the life of the tree. In reality, the life of the palm tree is deep within it. And an interesting fact about the bark, the more scars that it has, the sweeter the fruit is at the top. And we have to learn that we take big hits on a regular basis, don't we? We take some severe hits sometimes. Sometimes it's a hit of a lack of support. Sometimes it's a critical statement from somebody. Sometimes it's different things that we have zero control over. Yet when we receive it the right way, we actually are equipped to serve in a bigger and better way. Lesson number 3. Because the life of a palm tree is not near the surface or on the outside, it's deep within. It's deep within, and it comes up through the root systems deep within the palm tree. That means that you and I, the lesson that we can learn from this is that the life of our serve comes from deep within us, And that's where the focus needs to be. Rather than focusing on the severity of the challenge, the opportunities of bitterness, anger, and resentment to stay with us, we focus on the inside of us, the life force that's inside of us, which is to bring our best serve to the kiddos, their younger siblings, and families. And then lesson number 4. When winds of storms come to a palm tree, the palm tree actually takes and bends over, and the top of it sometimes will even touch the ground. The palm tree has such elasticity, such flexibility. And those of us that are here and those that I've served alongside of in the 60 school districts over the last 121 days, their flexibility has caused them to last because they flex and they bend, but they do not break and they do not uproot from their overall mission. Lesson number 5. most of us never knew that there was fruit at the top of the palm tree. And the fruit at the top of the palm tree takes sometimes 12 to 18 years to produce before they are harvested. The tougher the storms that the palm tree goes through, the harsher the storm, the greater that the trunk is beat up, and that fruit is sweeter at the top. And the reason that a palm tree can be so flexible is because of the design of its leaves. If you look at the leaf of a palm tree, it's curved. It's not curved or cupped. It's just like this, and the wind of adversity goes right through it. That means that you and I, who dispense or walk away from our severe need to control everything.
Did we lose Matt?
I believe we did.
As we respond in such a way, as we respond, just like I had you here, one thing died, I had another option. As we respond to these challenges, then the truth is we become sweeter at our serve. And I encourage you to look to the palm tree and meet me every morning at 7:07 as I do my best to really talk about you, because you are the heroes on the front line. You are making it happen. As you cooperate and collaborate with those that you serve with and for, bigger and better things happen. Thank you for allowing me to be with you today and serve alongside of you.
Thank you, Matt. You should know that you're getting a lot of chat on that great pivot you have of saving the day. We thought we lost you.
Nope. One thing deleted, and so I stayed with the other. I had two going on.
Yeah, make sure you check out the chat. You got a big old fan base over there. Yeah, thank you so much. You can catch Matt at 7:07 a.m. every day on Facebook Live. He's been so generous in supporting the San Bernardino Summer Collaborative. It's great to have him here for the Quad County. And to all of the directors, just thank you so much. You've been also incredibly generous with your time of preparing all things for this. And, you know, I really like what Orlando had to say in that, you know, we learn something from everybody. We really do. And I'm inspired by the directors who continue to lead the way on innovation. And just a really big thank you to No Kid Hungry and the entire Share Our Strength team, and Daisy for always being such a fantastic partner in putting these things together. Janelle for keeping me on track today with all those text messages. And so No Kid will share this out for you so that you can share it as a recording for everybody. So thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day. And I'm going to get back to packing my house. I'm moving today from Claremont to Redlands. So it's a great day to be us. Enjoy, everybody.
Bye, guys. Be safe.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
Orlando.
Bye, everyone.
Be safe. Good
Bye,
luck,
Dr.
everybody.
Liz.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Robin.